Ever stop to think about how differently we all soak up information?
Absolutely. You see it all the time.
Yeah, like you're in a meeting, someone explains something new. Some people just get it instantly,
Hmm.
and others are sort of, you know, looking a bit lost.
Right. And it's really not about intelligence, is it?
No, not at all.
Uh-huh.
It's about our own learning preferences.
Uh-huh.
We all have ways that stuff just clicks better.
Exactly. Those pathways in the brain.
So today we're doing a deep dive into these different learning styles. We'll be looking at the VARK model,
VARK. That's visual, auditory.
reading, writing, and K's for kinesthetic.
Yeah.
We got some great sources we're drawing on.
Like auditory learners. Understanding through sound, learn your learning style, and a few others.
And our mission really is just to help you figure out how you learn best.
Which can lead to more effective learning, naturally.
And more confidence, too. Maybe even better communication.
It's fascinating stuff because learning isn't just, downloading facts. It's active. It's about making connections, and how we make those connections, well, that varies a lot. And like our sources say, understanding your own learning blueprint, it's actually pretty empowering.
Yeah, not just for school, but like everyday life. Problem solving.
Totally. It's about working with your brain, not against it.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
So, okay, so let's kick things off with the visual learners.
Okay. The seeing is believing crowd.
Huh. Yeah, basically. These are the folks who really get things when they can see them. Pictures, diagrams.
Charts, spatial layout, that kind of thing.
Right. They think in images. You'll hear them say stuff like,
Can you draw that for me?
or, I just need to see it laid out.
Let me visualize it first. Yeah.
That's them.
And, it makes sense biologically. Our brains process visual information so quickly. So when they say, show me, they're basically asking for it in a format their brain can, decode really efficiently.
Which is why they often end up in fields like
Design.
architecture.
Yeah, or data analysis.
Yeah.
Anywhere visualizing patterns is key. Ah, interesting.
And, like the sources mention, a good infographic that can tell a visual learner so much more than pages of text.
Totally. So, okay, if you're out there listening and thinking, hey, that sounds like me, what can you do?
Good question. Well, the sources have ideas.
Mind maps seem big. Diagrams, too, for linking ideas visually.
Definitely. And color coding, using different colors for different categories.
Oh, yeah, I do that sometimes. It helps.
It creates those instant visual hooks.
Yeah.
Educational videos obviously are great.
For illustrating things, yeah. And I thought this was interesting visual journaling.
Using drawings and symbols to process things.
Exactly, instead of just words.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Right.
And the core idea for visual learners really is organization, clear visual presentation.
Right, a messy whiteboard versus a neat diagram.
Big difference for them. The diagram gives that clear visual path for the info.
Got it. Okay, let's switch gears.
Great.
Let's tune into auditory learners.
The listener. Yeah. These are the people who learn best through sound. Spoken explanations, listening. For them, listening is really active.
It's not passive at all.
Yeah.
The nuances, the tone, the rhythm of speech, that all helps them process.
You might hear them say things like, I remember exactly how she explained it.
Or, could you tell me that again?
I need to hear it to get it. That kind of phrase.
And what's really interesting is the link between hearing and memory for them. They often remember things they've heard incredibly well, which makes them good at things like public speaking, learning languages.
Or mimicking sounds is important.
Exactly. Or counseling, music.
Huh.
They pick up on subtle cues in speech that others might just miss.
They're perceptive listeners.
Very.
So strategies for auditory learners. Well, obviously things like podcasts, like this one.
Shameless plug.
And audiobooks, of course.
Right, and actually reading stuff aloud, even to yourself.
Yeah, feels weird maybe, but it helps embed the sound.
It does, and using tricks like verbal repetition, rhymes, mnemonics.
Setting info to a little tune.
Sure. Anything that engages the auditory pathway.
And talking things through seems crucial.
Oh, absolutely. Discussions, study groups, explaining it to someone else. That verbal interaction is key for them.
Even just recording voice notes for summaries.
Yeah, and listening back. Simple but effective. The main thing is clear, confident spoken explanations really work for them.
Okay, makes sense. Now, let's turn the page.
Reading, writing learners.
Yep. For these folks, it's all about the written word. That's where understanding clicks.
They learn best by reading and also by writing things down to process it.
Right. They like text. They're probably the ones taking tons of notes.
Or asking, is there a handout?
I need to write that down. Or where are the instructions?
Definitely. And it's not just passive reading. They're engaging with the text, highlighting, summarizing.
Taking detailed notes, pulling out the key points.
Right. And that deep interaction really helps with comprehension and remembering it later.
So it's no surprise they often do well in fields like research, writing, law.
Journalism, academia, anywhere strong literacy skills are essential.
So for you reading, writing types listening, what works best? Well, structured notes are a big one.
Outlines, summaries, using those written resources, textbooks, articles.
But I think maybe the most powerful thing is rewriting stuff.
In your own words.
Yeah. Rephrasing it forces you to really understand it, right?
Absolutely. And making lists, checklists, step-by-step guides, that helps organize the thinking.
Very structured.
And, even teaching through writing can be great, like writing out an explanation for someone else.
Even if no one else reads it.
Exactly. The act of writing it forces clarity and logical structure in your own head. Seeing it in print, writing it out, that really cements it for them.
Cool. Okay, one more style to cover. Let's get physical.
Kinesthetic learners, the doer.
Hands-on learners, yeah. They learn best by, well, doing. Physical engagement, touch, movement.
Real-world application. Experience is their best teacher.
They need to try it. You'll hear, can I try that myself?
Or let me get my hands on it.
Can we just do it already?
Yes. Sitting still through a long lecture. That can be tough for them.
I bet. They need to be involved.
Building models, doing experiments, role-playing.
Physical activity related to the topic. That's why they often shine in sports, dance.
Engineering, cooking, surgery, trades. Anywhere you need to physically engage.
So how do we support kinesthetic learners? Hands-on materials, obviously.
Objects, models they can manipulate, and movement breaks are important.
Getting up and moving around to refocus.
Yeah. And things like role plays, simulations, actual projects.
Yeah.
That makes abstract ideas concrete for them.
And interestingly, even just the physical act of writing notes.
Rather than typing.
Yeah, that can be more helpful for them, apparently. The physical motion helps.
That makes sense. And actually demonstrating something physically.
Showing someone else how to do it.
Right. That act of embodying the knowledge really locks it in for them. Movement isn't a distraction. It's part of how they learn.
It's integral.
When they engage their bodies, their minds connect better.
Okay, so we've walked through visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic.
The VARK styles.
But it's really important to stress, isn't it, that most of us aren't just one thing.
Oh, definitely not. Most people are multimodal. We use a mix of styles.
It might depend on the situation or the subject.
Exactly. So the real key isn't boxing yourself in. It's self-awareness.
Knowing your tendencies, your preferences.
Yeah. Understanding which styles resonate most strongly with you, and then learning how to leverage them.
Recognizing your inclinations rather than sticking to a rigid label.
Precisely. And when you step back, understanding these styles, yours and other people's, has benefits beyond just learning.
How so?
Well, communication gets better, right? If you know someone's a visual learner, maybe you draw them a diagram instead of just talking.
Ah, right. Tailoring your approach.
It builds empathy, too. More patience, understanding that people process things differently.
Yeah, makes sense. Less frustration maybe in relationships or teamwork.
Could be. And even problem solving. Approaching things from different angles, using different senses.
So, as you're listening, maybe reflect a bit. Which of these styles felt kind of familiar?
Which ones resonated?
Because understanding your own learning blueprint, as we called it, it really is empowering. It can make learning more effective and honestly more enjoyable, too.
Yeah, definitely more enjoyable. And that brings us to maybe a final thought for you to consider.
Okay.
Recognizing how you learn, that's really just step one. It opens the door to a whole journey.
A journey towards more fulfilling learning.
Exactly. So think about experimenting. Try strategies that align with your main styles, but maybe also dip your toe into others. See if you can become a bit more versatile.
Interesting. Stress yourself a bit.
Yeah. And also think about how noticing these different styles and the people around you.
Your colleagues, friends, family.
How could understanding their styles help you connect better, collaborate more effectively?
Improve those interactions. That's a really great takeaway. Food for thought.
Definitely something to mull over.